What if just 10 minutes a day could reshape the way your brain thinks, feels, and learns? In this video, you'll discover a science-backed neuroplasticity routine designed to rewire your brain for focus, clarity, and lasting change. No gimmicks. This routine is based on the latest neuroscience and psychology of habit formation, showing you how to train your brain to break free from mental blocks, boost creativity, and build stronger neural pathways that actually stick. Whether you're looking to sharpen memory, increase motivation, or reset unhelpful thought patterns, this daily practice provides a simple yet powerful roadmap to a healthier, more adaptive mind. Your brain has the power to change, and it starts today. Give 600 seconds and claim a sharper mind. This is a guided experiment, not theory. Across the next minutes, attention, memory, and motivation will be trained in real time using a routine designed to stick. The brain rewires through repetition under focused alertness, followed by meaningful reward, so every beat here is intentional. A visible progress bar marks each shift. There will be a simple test that shows change on the spot, so the brain can feel its own update and want more. Expect short bursts of focus, a controlled dose of challenge, and a quick identity cue that lowers decision friction. Treat this like the gym for neural pathways, small, precise reps that accumulate. Pick one behavior to reshape as the anchor for this session. Hold it in mind. The goal is a routine that survives busy days and distraction because it's easy, repeatable, and tied to identity. Start ready, not perfect. If attention drifts, use that moment as training data and return on the next breath. The clock starts now. The 600-second brain bet. This is a pact with the nervous system. Commit 600 seconds of clean attention and collect a measurable shift in how the habit loop fires. Think of it as a time-locked experiment with a visible arc the brain can trust. A progress bar signals each milestone to the prefrontal cortex, which craves closure and stays engaged when it can predict the next payoff. The structure here is not motivational fluff. It is engineered repetition under focused alertness, a controlled dose of challenge to raise effort, and a meaningful reward to stamp the loop. The goal is a quick but durable circuit the brain repeats even on chaotic days because it is simple, personal, and anchored to identity. Treat every minute as a rep. Posture steady, breath smooth, eyes ready for cues. One behavior sits at the center of this session to cut cognitive load and make the practice feel like it was built for a single life, not a generic audience. That behavior can be scroll control, morning focus, or a reset in the evening window where attention normally slips. Choose it now and hold it lightly in working memory. The next 10 minutes will use interval training principles for cognition. Short bursts of attention compress friction into a small window, then release it, which makes the nervous system more willing to re-engage. Distraction is not failure here, it is data. When attention slips, it shows exactly where the loop is weak, so each return becomes the productive rep that strengthens the circuit. This is how automaticity is built. Consistent cues, consistent action, consistent relief. The progress bar is part of the psychology. It converts an abstract promise into visible momentum, which reduces time anxiety and unlocks effort. A quick before and after test is coming to give the brain a felt win, because a system that feels progress gets repeated. Expect a brief challenge later called a friction pulse, just enough effort to amplify reward prediction without triggering shutdown. That small stretch is the difference between doing a task and teaching the brain to want the task. This pact asks for precision. Clear the desk, close extra inputs, set the phone face down, and decide on the one cue that will trigger this loop tomorrow at the same time. Consistency of cue is the quiet engine of neuroplasticity. When the brain meets the same context repeatedly, it reduces negotiation costs and saves willpower for substance. The routine will run through a cue, a 2-minute focus drill, a friction pulse, a one-line identity script, a meaningful reward, and an if-then plan. Each element has a job. The cue tells the brain when to start. The focus drill narrows prediction. The friction pulse raises value. The identity script reduces future hesitation. The reward teaches the brain this pattern matters. The if-then plan protects the loop in the wild. Make a mental note now of why this matters today, not someday. Urgency is not pressure, it is clarity. A brain that knows the reason shows up with better energy. Keep the breath quiet and the shoulders unlocked. Imagine attention like a lens that clicks into place. When the cue appears, it is not a test of discipline. It is the first dominoes of a system that will feel lighter each week. The pact is simple: 600 seconds for a proof that the loop can change. If a part feels difficult, smile internally and take the next instruction literally. Tight reps, clean transitions, clear finish. The clock starts with intention and ends with evidence. Predictive brain tease. The brain is a prediction engine that runs on patterns, and the fastest way to hold attention is to feed it patterns it can almost solve. Every beat in this sequence is tuned to that drive. The pacing signals a near-term payoff, so the prefrontal cortex keeps investing effort. The rhythm is intentional because attention is costly, and when the brain senses a structured cadence of promise and delivery, it spends less energy wondering what comes next and more energy engaging what is now. Think of this as focus with rails. The timing of each cut, the space between sentences, the brief pauses before the cue appears, all serve one purpose: reduce ambiguity until the work begins, then add just enough novelty to sharpen the mind without derailing it. That is how we create the feeling of, I know what's coming and I want it, which is the sweet spot for learning that sticks. This is not passive consumption. This is guided conditioning. The sequence teaches the nervous system to associate small, deliberate effort with a reliable payoff. When the brain predicts a challenge and then experiences a controlled win, dopamine marks that pattern as worth repeating. We are deliberately creating that loop. A visible progress arc will keep uncertainty low, so time stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like momentum. Each on-screen cue is a contract. Act now, get relief after. That relief is not a break for its own sake. It is a consolidation pocket. Short, predictable pockets of effort, followed by brief release, train the system to recover fast and re-engage without internal negotiation. Over minutes, this oscillation turns into a rhythm the brain begins to trust. Trust is what unlocks repeatability. Repeatability is what unlocks automaticity. Here's the hidden advantage of prediction you will feel. When the brain gets the timing right, it delivers a small satisfaction pulse that says, keep going. Stack enough of those pulses and motivation stops being a mood and becomes a byproduct of design. This is why each transition has a job. The open invites attention, the cue narrows it, the micro-challenge stretches it, the brief relief locks it in. The next cue rides the wave of the last win. This chain converts effort into identity by making action feel inevitable. No drama, no willpower theater, just the next right beat. By the time the routine arrives, the brain has already learned the cadence, so the steps feel familiar on contact. If distraction shows up, treat it as a prediction miss, not a character flaw. Acknowledge it quickly, then return to the cue. That fast return is the rep that matters most. The system we are building rewards fast returns more than perfect stretches. That single shift removes shame from practice and replaces it with precision. Keep breathing steady. Keep eyes relaxed on the cue when it appears. Let the rhythm do part of the work. The goal is not to crush distraction, it is to make attention the path of least resistance. As the cadence stabilizes, effort will feel lighter even though the work is real. That is the signature of a well-designed loop. When the next section lands, the routine will plug into this predictive frame, and the brain will accept it faster because it already trusts the pattern. The one behavior to bind. Pick one behavior and bind this entire session to it. 1. Not 5 goals, not a vague intention. A single target reduces cognitive load and gives the brain a clear instruction it can repeat without negotiation. The nervous system loves specificity because it turns effort into a simple yes or no. Choose the behavior that quietly taxes the day. The late-night scroll that steals sleep, the afternoon drift that derails deep work, the morning fog that delays your start. Name it in the mind with a short, concrete phrase. 10 p.m. scroll swap, 2 p.m. deep focus, morning ignition. That phrase will act as the key that unlocks the loop during the routine. Personal specificity is what makes the next minutes stick. When the brain knows exactly what it's practicing for, it recruits the right circuitry faster and prunes noise. This is how we make the practice feel made to measure. The mind resists generic advice because generic advice requires extra translation before action. Translation burns attention. By pre-selecting one behavior, you skip translation and point your brain at the action that matters most today. That single choice becomes a lens. Every cue, every drill, every friction pulse will be interpreted through it, which accelerates learning. This creates a felt sense of relevance that turns repetition from "I should" into "this helps." Relevance reduces the urge to bargain with the self mid-routine and turns each step into an obvious next move. Identity follows clarity. When the behavior is named and rehearsed in a predictable frame, the nervous system starts to treat it as a default, not a decision. Anchor this behavior to a specific time and place in the day. The brain encodes habits more easily when the environment helps. Time and location are silent cues that remove guesswork and lower the threshold to start. If the target is evening scrolling, the cue might be the moment lights dim in the bedroom. If the target is afternoon drift, the cue might be the first sip of water after lunch at the same seat. If the target is morning ignition, the cue might be the chair where the day's first focused block begins. Choose the cue now, pair it with the behavior name, and let the pairing live in the mind. We will seal it later with a one-line identity script and an if-then map. But this is the foundation. One behavior, one cue, a short name that feels true. Treat this commitment as a friendly constraint, not a pressure cooker. Constraints free attention because they remove options that don't serve the goal. If the brain tries to add extra behaviors to maximize progress, return to the one chosen behavior. More is not better here. Precise is better. Precision makes repetition satisfying. Satisfaction fuels return. The practice that gets repeated is the practice that wins. Keep posture tall and breathing quiet. Keep the phrase active in working memory like a small note in the corner of consciousness. When the routine begins, the steps will click into that note automatically. This is where friction drops and momentum starts. The rest of this session is built to train one loop that fits into one life. That is why it works when days get messy. Friction. As fuel, effort is not the enemy in this process. It is the amplifier. The brain tags effort with value when effort is followed by a meaningful payoff, and that sequence is what teaches the system to desire the next rep. A small, deliberate stretch inside the routine acts like a spark that brightens the whole circuit. Too much friction, and the nervous system withdraws to protect energy. Too little, and there is nothing for the brain to learn from. The sweet spot is a controlled challenge that remains clearly achievable in the moment. Think of it as a 5% incline on a treadmill for the mind. The slope is real, but the legs can handle it, and the satisfaction at the top stamps the loop with "do that again." The purpose here is to transform the sensation of mild resistance from a stop sign into a signal that value is being created right now. This is the moment where many routines die because they confuse comfort with sustainability. Comfort keeps attention flat. Mild challenge creates a contour the brain remembers. When the system experiences a brief increase in effort, then a prompt sense of completion, it learns that investment pays. That felt return is the internal currency of motivation. In this session, friction will show up as a simple switch that requires awareness. A non-dominant hand note, a slightly faster pace than feels natural, a one breath longer hold on focus before the release. Nothing dramatic, just enough to signal the brain that something important is happening. The key is that the release comes right after, on purpose, so the nervous system pairs the challenge with relief. That pairing is what consolidates the pattern. Treat friction like a friendly coach. When the cue arrives for the challenge, meet it cleanly, without bracing. Keep the breath steady and the body unlocked. Name the moment as training, not testing. That small language shift prevents threat response and preserves precision. The goal is to lean just over the line where attention would usually drop and then step back with control. This controlled oscillation strengthens the circuitry of return. Each time you feel the micro burn and finish the beat, you are telling the brain this is how we operate now. Over days, the slope can increase 1% at a time, but today the mandate is modest. Show up, stretch slightly, collect the win, move on. That cadence is the engine of a routine that lasts. Remember why this matters in real life. Friction is everywhere. After lunch, before a hard email, when the bed is warm and the alarm is honest. Training with a tiny dose now makes those moments predictable instead of overwhelming. You are not avoiding difficulty. You are practicing your response to it. That is what turns a routine into identity. When the brain expects a challenge and expects itself to meet it, hesitation fades, decision fatigue fades, the loop runs cleaner. The sensation you are after is simple. This is a little hard, and that is good. Keep that sentence available when the cue lands. Meet the incline, hold form, enjoy the drop into relief, and let that satisfaction mark the path forward. Alertness, then deep rest. Neuroplasticity has a timing window, and this routine is built to hit it on purpose. First comes focused alertness, where attention narrows and the brain tags signals as important. That is the phase where new connections are selected. Then comes deep rest later, where those tagged signals are consolidated and pruned into lasting change. Alertness writes the draft, rest turns it into memory. In practice, that means showing up fully for the next minutes, and then letting sleep or a short non-sleep deep rest session handle the back end. This is not a motivational slogan. It is how the nervous system economizes energy. It will invest during effort if it knows recovery is coming. So we promise it recovery, and then we deliver it. Think of focus like a spotlight and rest like the stage crew. The spotlight makes the scene clear enough to matter. The crew locks in the set so it's ready next show. If the spotlight wanders, nothing is marked. If the crew never comes, nothing holds. Today's design places clean, time-bound alertness up front and a short, simple rest cue later. That might be a 10-minute quiet period after the video or a commitment to protect tonight's first sleep cycle. Choose one now. Name it. The mind likes a clear off switch. Knowing that switch exists calms the stress response and allows more precision in the work phase because threat detection is reduced. During alertness, the job is simple. Sustain engagement long enough to teach the brain what to keep. Clean posture, steady breath, eyes soft on the cue, low input environment. That is all. Do not chase perfection, chase clarity. The minutes that follow will raise effort on purpose in a small pulse, then return to baseline. This gentle oscillation tells the system, here is what matters, and here is your safe reset. When the session ends, leave a quiet gap before the next stimulating task. No immediate inbox, no rapid-fire scrolling. Give consolidation a head start. If possible, layer in a short non-sleep deep rest. Eyes closed, body still, slow breathing, or a guided relaxation where the mind drifts without engagement. 10 minutes is enough to boost retention of what you just practiced. Night sleep is the anchor that locks change. Treat the first half of the night as sacred whenever you can, because that is where slow-wave sleep helps the brain replay and stabilize patterns tagged during the day. If the evening is busy, protect at least a wind-down window that's consistent. Same time, same signal, same outcome. Consistency reduces negotiation. Negotiation burns the very energy you want for plasticity. This is not about rigid lifestyle doctrine. It is about giving your biology a fair chance to do its job. Alertness plus rest is not a luxury combo. It is the default program of learning, whether for a piano piece, a sprint start, or a scrolling habit swap. Carry this mindset into the routine. You are not just doing tasks, you are teaching the brain when to care and when to recover. On cue, you will focus. On release, you will let go. Later, you will rest enough for the gains to stick. That's the three-step cadence behind every durable change. Mark it with attention, reinforce it with satisfaction, cement it with rest. Keep the chosen rest cue in mind now, as if pinning a note for future you. When the session closes, touch that note. Step into quiet for a few minutes or commit to an early lights out. This is how effort turns into identity without constant struggle. Type 1 to write the next topic or type the changes you want. The 10-minute NeuroLoop. Here's the routine exactly as it will run, built to be tight, repeatable, and personal to the one behavior you chose. A single cue starts everything. Choose one you can control daily. The same chair, the same time, the same light switch. Sit or stand tall, set a gentle timer for 10 minutes, and commit to zero negotiation until it chimes. Begin with a 5-breath priming ritual. Inhale through the nose, exhale slightly longer through the mouth, eyes soft on one fixed point. This isn't relaxation for its own sake. It's a precision signal to the nervous system that focus is about to start. On breath 5, speak your behavior phrase once in a calm tone to steer attention toward the target loop. You have now entered the work window. Start the 2-minute focus drill. Pick one object in your field of view and study a single feature in detail. Edges, grain, light reflection, or a small contrast you hadn't noticed before. On each exhale, label one concrete detail in your mind. Keep it specific, not poetic. Line thickness, color shift, texture bump. This narrows prediction and quiets noise. If attention drifts, return to the feature without judgment. That return is the rep. At the 60-second mark, do a 10-second micro-recall. Close your eyes and list 3 details you just saw in any order. Open your eyes, continue the drill for the second minute, then repeat the 10-second recall. You are teaching the brain to encode and retrieve on command. This is the base of durable focus. Now meet the friction pulse. For 90 seconds, increase effort by 5%. If your behavior target is 2 p.m. deep focus, write 2 crisp sentences about what your next block will accomplish using your non-dominant hand. If the target is 10 p.m. scroll swap, hold the phone in your hand without unlocking it while you slowly label 3 tactile sensations from the palm and fingers, then place it face down and step back from the table by 1 foot. If the target is morning ignition, stand and read your 1 priority out loud at a slightly faster pace than feels comfortable, then rewrite that priority once by hand. Each option is small, precise, mildly awkward. That awkwardness is the stretch that raises value. Immediately after, return to normal posture and breathe normally for 20 seconds. Feel the drop. Let the nervous system register relief. Seal it with identity. Speak 1 single line that binds the behavior to who you are, not what you're trying to do. Use a clean, declarative format. I am the kind of person who protects 2 p.m. deep focus. I am the kind of person who powers down at 10 p.m. I am the kind of person who starts the morning on purpose. Say it once, write it once. This removes debate the next time the cue appears. Then deliver a meaningful reward that teaches the brain the loop is worth repeating. Keep it brief and aligned with your values. Sip a preferred tea while looking at natural light for 60 seconds. Stand by a window and breathe cool air with shoulders released. Place a check mark on a small card you actually keep. The point is not sugar or scrolling. It's a clear, embodied sense of done. Close with the if-then map that protects the loop in the wild. Say it cleanly and keep it short. If I feel the pull to scroll at 10 p.m., then I hold the phone, label 3 sensations, and place it face down. If I feel the 2 p.m. dip, then I do the 2-minute focus drill and write 2 sentences with my non-dominant hand. If morning fog hits, then I stand, read the 1 priority faster than feels natural, and rewrite it once. Screenshot this line or copy it to a visible card where the cue lives. End with 1 calm breath and a micro nod to mark completion. The timer chimes, you stop. No extra flourishes. Tomorrow, it begins on the same cue, in the same order, with the same small stretch. That sameness is what frees the mind to perform without negotiation and makes this loop feel like home. Proof you can feel. Proof changes behavior faster than theory because the brain trusts what it experiences. This section gives a felt before and after, so the nervous system marks the routine as valuable and wants to come back. Start with a quick pre-test. Sit tall, breathe once, and for 20 seconds scan the room with soft eyes, noting silent details in your mind like texture, color edges, or small reflections. Close your eyes and, for 10 seconds, recall as many of those details as you can in any order. Open your eyes. That was the baseline. No judgment, just data. Now run the 2-minute focus drill you've already learned. Lock attention on a single feature. Label 1 precise detail per exhale and keep returning to the feature whenever the mind drifts. That return is not a mistake. It is the rep that teaches the brain what to strengthen. Immediately after the drill, repeat the test. 20 seconds eyes open to sample fresh details, 10 seconds eyes closed to recall them. Feel for the shift. Most people notice sharper recall, cleaner detail, or a calmer, more stable awareness. That sensation is not placebo. It is the brain registering that prediction got tighter and noise dropped. Even if the number of recalled details is the same, notice the quality. Was it less effortful to retrieve them? Did your mind hesitate less between items? Did visual clarity feel slightly brighter? These micro changes matter because they are exactly what compound with repetition. Mark the win with a clean breath and a small internal nod. You're showing your biology that effort produced a clear outcome. Now measure the behavior itself with a tiny stress test linked to your target. If the goal is the 10 p.m. scroll swap, hold the phone for 5 seconds. Notice the urge rise, then place it face down and step back 1 foot. Rate the urge before and after from 1 to 10. If the goal is 2 p.m. deep focus, open your workspace, start a timer for 60 seconds, and write a single sentence of your next action without editing. Check how long it took to begin and whether your hands hesitated. If the goal is morning ignition, stand, read your one priority out loud once, then rewrite it by hand once. Check whether your posture and breath stayed steady. These are not arbitrary drills. They are mirrors that reflect what changed in real time, and mirrors accelerate progress because they close the loop. Capture the proof in a single line. Write a quick note. Recall felt cleaner. Urge dropped 2 points. Start delay shrank by 10 seconds. Breath stayed steady through the rewrite. Keep it short and factual. This is not a diary, it's a dashboard. The brain loves simple, visible feedback because it reduces doubt and invites the next rep. If today's proof feels subtle, that's fine. Subtle becomes obvious across days when the same cue meets the same loop. If today's proof feels strong, resist the urge to escalate. The job is not to chase a high. It is to build a groove. Grooves are built with consistent depth, not constant novelty. End this segment with one clean reward breath and a quick look at natural light if available. Let the nervous system register completion. Proof is now in the system, not as a concept, but as a sensation. That sensation is the most efficient motivation available because it bypasses debate and turns practice into the default. Carry that feeling forward. When the next cue lands, the brain will remember how it felt to win, and it will lean in sooner. That is the point of proof you can feel, to make the next rep easier than the last, and to make persistence the path of least resistance. Pattern engineering, not jump cuts. Attention prefers rhythm over chaos, and rhythm is what keeps the prefrontal cortex online without draining energy. The plan here is simple and surgical. Build a cadence the brain can predict, then place small, purposeful breaks exactly where focus tends to fade. Each shift is a signal, not noise. A slight pause before an instruction lands tells the mind this matters. A subtle change in tone or angle marks a new phase without startling the system. A tiny color temperature nudge refreshes perception without hijacking it. These micro variations are not decoration. They are levers that convert novelty into engagement while protecting cognitive stamina. Constant jump cuts force the brain to burn fuel-tracking irrelevant changes. Deliberate pattern breaks teach the brain to lean forward at the right moments, then relax just enough to consolidate. That is how attention becomes sustainable across minutes, and how learning becomes inevitable instead of fragile. Design the cadence as a 4-beat loop: signal, act, reward, reset. The signal primes expectation, the action channels effort, the reward stamps value, the reset restores readiness. Run this loop with timing that feels consistent in the body. Let the inhale serve as the signal, the exhale carry the action, the micro relief coat the reward, and a single neutral breath be the reset. When edits and narration mirror this bodily tempo, the whole system smooths. Friction drops because nothing feels arbitrary. Precision rises because attention is never jarred out of context. The brain loves that feeling of being just ahead of the moment, predicting correctly, and receiving a small satisfaction each time it's right. Stack those satisfactions and motivation becomes a byproduct of design. This is why the routine will feel easier on day 3 than day 1, even though the steps are the same. The pattern is doing part of the work now. Use the environment to reinforce the rhythm. Keep visual clutter low so the eyes aren't negotiating background noise. Use consistent lighting so the nervous system doesn't have to recalibrate. Keep audio clean with intentional pockets of silence that act like commas, not full stops. Silence is a tool here. It gives the instruction room to land and gives the mind permission to lock onto one thing. When the friction pulse arrives, mark it with a tiny lift in tempo or intensity, then return to baseline with a clean release. That rise and drop creates a contour attention remembers. The contour becomes a map. With the map in place, returning to focus is faster because the route is familiar. Expect distraction and design its exit. When the mind drifts, the pattern provides a handrail back. A brief inhale through the nose, a soft eye fix on the cue, one internal label of what matters now, then action. That is the return protocol. No judgment, no narrative, just the next beat. The faster the return, the more powerful the training. This moment is where many people abandon practice, but here it becomes the essential rep. The system you're building rewards returns more than long, unbroken stretches. That value shift dissolves perfectionism and replaces it with precision. Precision repeats. Repetition, under this cadence, becomes identity. Let the pacing be felt, not announced. The audience should sense a steady forward pull with gentle pulses of emphasis, never a rush. The difference is emotional. Rushing is anxious. Pacing is confident. Anxiety scatters prediction. Confidence tightens it. Keep sentences clean and energetic, then give them a breath width of space. Let the body understand the pattern before the mind explains it. Over the next minutes, the routine will plug into this scaffold. Each cue will land on a groove the brain already trusts. That trust turns effort into something that feels like an obvious next step rather than a new decision. With that, attention rides the line, novelty sharpens the edge, and progress compiles quietly in the background. The rhythm holds, the loop runs, the identity forms, the 30-day anchor. Short bursts create change, but consistency makes it automatic. This is where a routine stops being something done and starts being something lived. The anchor is simple by design. Same cue, same place, same 10-minute loop, and a tiny weekly increase in friction that stays below overwhelm. Day 1 sets the groove. Days 2 to 7 make it familiar. Weeks 2 to 4 harden it into a path the brain prefers. Think of this as laying a short track and running it until it becomes the default route. The cue is the quiet hero. Keep it identical whenever possible. The same chair at 2 p.m., the same light dim at 10 p.m., the same first seat in the morning. When the context repeats, the nervous system stops negotiating and starts executing. Negotiation is expensive. Execution is light. The goal is to remove debate from the start and convert effort into an automatic entry point. Keep the friction modest and progressive, 1% at a time. In week 1, the stretch might be writing 2 sentences with the non-dominant hand. In week 2, make it 3. In week 3, hold the focus drill 5 breaths longer before the recall test. In week 4, add a single extra detail label per minute. These increments are intentionally small, so momentum carries them without resistance. The nervous system responds best to challenges that feel meaningful yet clearly achievable. Raise the slope gently and let satisfaction do the heavy lifting. Satisfaction is not indulgence. It is the signal that teaches the brain this is worth repeating. Pair the friction with immediate relief every time. Effort, then exhale, stretch, then soften. The pairing is what locks in learning so it survives real life. Protect the loop with light tracking that feels like a win, not a chore. 1 checkbox per day on a visible card is enough. No charts that require math, no apps that invite distraction, no streak obsession that turns the practice into a scoreboard. The checkbox stands for identity. Did I show up? When life gets messy, aim for the minimum viable loop. 2 minutes of focus and 1 small friction pulse still count. The power is in continuity. Breaking the chain is not failure. It is a prompt to resume tomorrow without penalty. The rule is return fast. Fast returns are the cornerstone of durable habits. They collapse shame, conserve energy, and keep the groove intact even after a bump. Design guardrails for the most predictable derailers. If the evening window is crowded, move the cue 15 minutes earlier for that day and keep everything else the same. If the afternoon dip runs long, insert a single glass of water and 3 standing breaths before the timer. If the morning is compressed, run the 2-minute drill while standing, then speak the identity line and put a check. The loop survives because it is portable at small scale. Portability keeps identity intact when conditions change. Identity is the prize here. Each repetition that starts on cue and finishes with relief tells the brain this is who we are now. The mind begins to anticipate the loop the way a runner anticipates a familiar route. The first steps feel familiar. The body settles sooner. The work feels lighter. Close each week with a quiet review that takes less than a minute. Ask 3 precise questions in your head. Did the cue stay consistent? Did the friction pulse stay modest? Did the reward feel meaningful? Adjust, nothing else. Subtle calibration is better than reinvention. Reinvention drains attention and resets the groove. The 30-day anchor is not a challenge. It is a commitment to a small script that respects biology and reality. By day 30, the loop will feel like a doorway rather than a hill. The brain will expect the cue, accept the effort, and enjoy the relief automatically. That is the sign the routine has moved from effortful to efficient. Keep the card, keep the cue, keep the cadence. The rest takes care of itself. The identity switch. Identity is the shortcut that ends negotiation. When a routine is tied to who I am instead of what I should do, the The brain stops opening a court case every time the cue appears. The next 10 minutes are no longer a task to evaluate. They're an expression to complete. That shift collapses hesitation and frees attention for execution. The circuit is simple. Cue triggers roll. Roll triggers action. Action earns relief. Relief reinforces roll. You are not trying to be disciplined in a vacuum. You are proving a story true in small, repeatable ways. The story must be specific, clean, and spoken. I am the kind of person who protects 2 p.m. deep focus. I am the kind of person who powers down at 10 p.m. I am the kind of person who starts mornings on purpose. Stated once, written once, then acted upon immediately. This line becomes the hinge between intention and behavior. Each clean rep polishes it until it feels obvious. Identity does not require perfection. It requires direction and evidence. Evidence arrives in tiny forms. A phone placed face down when the urge spikes, a single sentence written when the dip hits, a priority read aloud with steady breath when fog lingers. These are not small because they are easy. They are small because they are atomic and repeatable. Repetition is what persuades the nervous system. The goal is to rack up proof points that are impossible to argue with. When the mind looks for who you are, it finds them. When it finds them, it follows them. This is why returns matter more than streaks. A fast return after a miss says the identity is intact even when conditions aren't. That message is priceless. It keeps the loop alive through messy schedules, low energy days, and imperfect starts. Carry the routine like a signature. Same cue, same order, same small stretch, same release. Let it become the way the day recenters. If life compresses, run the minimum viable loop without apology and count it. Counting it communicates continuity. Continuity preserves identity. Identity preserves the habit when motivation is variable. The emotions will rise and fall, the role stays. This removes the drama that usually surrounds self-improvement and replaces it with quiet competence. Competence breeds trust, and trust is the fuel of effortless action. The moment the cue appears, you are already halfway in because the role is already on. Action follows with less friction because it is not being debated. It is being expressed. Close this chapter with a decisive imprint. Speak the identity line once, exactly as you want to live it this month. Write it once on a card that lives where the cue lives. Then post the 12-word if-then identity line in a visible place to externalize commitment. Keep the language concrete and lean. No poetry, no hedging, no future tense. Present tense turns on the lights now. When you step into the next rep, remember that proof you can feel is your ally. The recall was cleaner. The urge dipped. The start came sooner. Let those sensations answer any doubt that tries to re-enter. The routine is not a test of willpower. It is a statement of who you are, delivered in 600 seconds, one clean rep at a time. When the timer ends, nod once and move on. The system is working because you are working it. This is how a brain rewires into identity and stays there. Precise cues, modest friction, meaningful relief, fast returns, and a story that fits. The bet was simple and fair. Give 600 seconds and earn a brain that returns to focus faster, resists drift with less drama, and treats effort like a signal of value instead of a threat. Across these minutes, a clean cue, a precise focus drill, a small friction pulse, a meaningful reward, and an if-then line turned practice into identity. That identity is the real win because it ends the daily courtroom in the mind and replaces it with a doorway that opens on cue. The proof was felt, not argued. Recall sharpened. Starts came sooner. Urges softened. Those are the quiet markers of plasticity doing its job. Now the work is to keep it light and consistent. Same cue, same order. Same modest stretch, same release. Let the groove do the heavy lifting while life stays imperfect. When a day breaks pattern, return fast and count it. Fast returns protect identity, and identity protects the loop when motivation wobbles. Treat distraction as data, friction as fuel, rest as cement. This is a system that respects biology and wins by inches, not theatrics. In a month, the routine won't feel like a task. It will feel like home. Speak the line once to seal it. I am the kind of person who rewires the day in 10 minutes. Then prove it with one clean rep. The clock is an ally, the cue is the door, the breath is the key. Open it.